Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Berkeley County Board of Education meeting, August 10th, 2021. I call the meeting to order. I declare a quorum of members are present and the media has been notified. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner, a second from Mr. Ramsey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries by a vote of 6-0. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the board meeting on July 27, 2021?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner, a second from Mr. Ramsey to approve the minutes from July 27. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Ayes have it by a vote of 6-0. The motion carries. I will now entertain a motion to enter into executive session. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to enter into executive session.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner, a second from Mr. Ramsey. Is there any discussion? The purpose of executive sessions are to be a discussion of the employment, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee or employees as needed, and also to C, a legal update regarding a pending, threatened, or potential claim or other matters covered by attorney-client privilege. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0. We are in executive session. Do we have a motion to return to regular session?
I make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Ramsey, a second from Ms. Tanner to return to regular session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to return to regular session say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? We have a unanimous consent. For the record, Ms. Marone is not present with us, but she is on telephone, so Ms. Marone also voted in the affirmative, so it's 9-0. We are in regular session, and for the record, no action was taken in executive session this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Next agenda item is item number 4, citizens' comments. In order to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines. Stakeholder comments are welcome and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action on public comments at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs, policies, or procedures. Comments regarding complaints against employees other than district-level executives or references to students other than the child of the speaker will not be heard in public session. Groups addressing the same topic should select one speaker. The board chair reserves the right to allot additional time or to halt public comments that do not adhere to the guidelines. Our first speaker this evening is Carrie Kelly on the Delta variant. Welcome, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you for giving me the time to speak today. I'm here as a concerned parent and as a concerned scientist. I'm the mother of two. One of my children is vaccinated and one is too young. My 9-year-old has learning challenges that make virtual learning very difficult for him. He was exposed to RSV at 6 weeks old, which can permanently damage lungs. I am very concerned about him getting COVID, but he needs to be in school in person. The simple solution that would allow him and all children to have in-person learning is for everyone to wear a mask. While wearing a mask for him offers him some protection, it does not protect him as well as it would if all students, teachers, and staff wore a mask. That is the best way to protect all of our children. This is why the CDC, American Academy of Pediatrics, and the South Carolina Department of Health have all recommended masks in schools. The Delta variant changes everything. We are not dealing with the same virus as last year that had an R0 of 3. The Delta variant has an R0 of 8. For every one person infected with the disease will infect 8 more. Imagine what this will do to schools once they open without masks. In no time, schools will shut down. Education will be interrupted. How does this help children learn? How many children must get seriously ill and die just because someone did not want to mandate masks? The City of Columbia and school boards in Florida are now mandating masks against the governor's wishes. We should do the same. Last summer, our state lost our first child to COVID. The Delta variant did not exist then. What is the justification to allow even more children to get sick or die, knowing what we know now, that masks and vaccines work? I understand you are worried about lawsuits. They are likely to happen if you mandate masks or if you do not. The Delta variant is 3 times as deadly as the flu for children, and death is not the only negative side effect. COVID can cause permanent lung, heart, and kidney damage, lead to long COVID or an overactive immune response. We have no idea what this disease will do to our children long term. Why take the risk? You have a dress code. Masks are no different, except they save lives. We all want to get back to normal and take off our masks, but in order for that to happen, we need to wear masks and get vaccinated. The Delta variant has already rendered our vaccines less effective, and as is evident by the fact that it's circulating more readily in the vaccinated population. The more the virus circulates in our community, the more chances it has to mutate. Thankfully, our vaccines are still keeping the vaccinated from getting very sick or dying, but all it takes is one mutation to change that. Our hospitals are filling up with the unvaccinated. Young children cannot be vaccinated. Why are we needlessly risking their lives? Child hospitalizations are the highest they have been since the pandemic started and increasing fast. We have more COVID cases in South Carolina now than we did last year when schools opened. Please, do the right thing for our children and community. Mandate masks in schools.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. The next speaker is Mr. Garris Davis. The comment is thank you and yes, sir. Welcome, Mr. Davis.
Thank you. First thing I want to do is give thanks, first, of course, to God for this great and exceptional country that we live in. And then I want to thank the school board, Chairman Barrow, and Superintendent Jackson for having this opportunity. Particularly, I want to compliment Superintendent Jackson for responding back to some of our requests from last meeting. That means a lot, a whole lot. Now, the only other thing that I have is an item that was brought up at the last meeting asking a question about ESSER. I believe it was a valid question. I believe it was a straightforward question. re-say the question. It was, what strings, if any, were attached for using the ESSER funds, and specifically strings that were attached by the federal government and the Biden administration that would cause us to teach certain curriculums that we might not think are appropriate. But in addition to that, I'd just like to say that we need to have that documented. And I don't see a problem. Okay? So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Terry Hardesty on the battle for you and democracy.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Jackson. I'm going to read from a handwritten note that's out of it for you, and just a few little excerpts of things. And these are statements from Mr. Barrow regarding the accusations made against him. I do not look her up or down. She has never told me that I made her feel uncomfortable. I have touched and rubbed her shoulders in the past. I have done this to many people, both male and female. I consider this a personality trait, but it is one that I am consciously trying to avoid. I've not touched her shoulders in over 5 years. I do not recall ever moving my hands down and on her arms. I do recall touching a blouse sleeve one time because the texture of the garment was unique. She has never told me that my contact with her is unwelcome. I do not consider any past treatment of her as harassment. I've only had limited contact with her since August of 2000. I deny harassment of her on any basis. While a principal at BMS, I went into employee lounges frequently to speak with teachers and staff. I do not recall the specific incident described in the allegation. I'm going to stop and say that it's kind of striking to me that these kinds of comments are extremely similar to the New York governor's response to his accusations against him of sexual harassment. And in case you haven't heard the news, Governor Cuomo tendered his resignation effective 14 days today. And I would certainly suggest that for the good of this school district, to end this situation, that our board chair would resign. Secondly, there's been a comment made by somebody who keeps coming up here talking about democracy and this democracy is in trouble. Well, I was in school about 40 years probably prior to him, and I wasn't taught we were a democracy. I was taught we were a republic. We say our pledge to the republic for which it stands. And it's right in the Constitution, Article 4, Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government. I'll not finish the rest of it because it's about keeping the state safe. We are a republic, not a democracy.
The next speaker is Ms. Kathleen Regal. The concern or comment is concerning masking. Welcome, ma'am.
I'm Kathleen Regal, a homeowner, voter, and taxpayer in Berkeley County for over 30 years. I'm also a retired teacher and retired volunteer for various children's organizations.
Can you move the microphone down? Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, ma'am. It helps people online also.
So I've volunteered for children's organizations here and in my previous state. Because of my deep devotion to the rights of children, I'm thankful for this opportunity to speak tonight. The primary need of people mentioned by Maslow is physiological, quickly followed by the need for safety and security. As adults, it's our responsibility to provide safety and security for children as best we're able. Those under 50 in this room provide safety and security. Those under 50 have recently been thrust for the first time into the challenge of providing this for our children in the face of the pandemic. After the AIDS epidemic in the early 1980s, the U.S. greatly increased responsiveness to potential pandemics, and thus SARS and Ebola did not become a major issue here in the United States, although they were in many other countries. For whatever reason, COVID-19 has become an overarching crisis both here and worldwide. As adults attempting to mitigate damage to our next generations, we must look at various methods for doing so. Scientists tell us there are many ways of lessening potential harm to people due to COVID. Isolation, stay at home if you're sick, use good hand hygiene and sneeze etiquette, maintain social distancing in public spaces, limit the amount of time spent where others are present, stay outdoors for maximum ventilation, wear a mask, only associate with others wearing masks, get vaccinated, associate only with other vaccinated people. As you can see, every one of these methods are like Swiss cheese. There's holes in every one. Nothing is 100% effective. Therefore, what most people recommend is layering those as much as possible. As you get more than one layer going, you get greater effectiveness. You're still not going to necessarily get 100% because you still have holes. The more layers you have there, the fewer holes available, the more likely you're going to be able to mitigate damages. In the schools, some of these are not possible. The total isolation shutdown was a total disaster. Children should stay at home if they're sick. The hand hygiene, teachers have been teaching that forever. Limit the amount of time spent where others are present. Obviously, that can't go on in the classroom because you've got all those people.
Excuse me, Ms. Regal, your time has expired.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming.
Basically, I just would like to see masks in the classrooms and to have at least some of the classrooms be 100% masked because of ADA requirements.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Ms. Margaret Johnson. The topic is information access. Welcome, Ms. Johnson.
Chairman Bauer, board members, Superintendent Jackson. After attending and watching how board meetings are conducted, I am very concerned about the lack of response to citizen comments, secrecy with which too much board business is conducted, and the possibility of hidden agendas not evident to citizens of Berkeley County. Whether the secrecy and hidden agenda is a deliberate plot or not, what is going on has to me the feel of a conspiracy, with deliberations taken without the knowledge of the citizens that result in many decisions that are not in our best interest. At best, the board appears to be acting as a wall to keep citizens uninformed and impotent regarding critical education issues. Little transparency is provided to the public about what is approved at school board meetings. Discussion rarely occurs, suggesting predetermined outcomes. Progressing through agenda items, standard statements include, is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. The public is left in the dark about the content of much of what is approved, including applications for ESSER funding, curricula approved for use in classrooms, and other critical information that parents and taxpayers deserve to learn by coming to open meetings, during which these items have explanations and discussions beyond the reading of titles. Why is there rarely any discussion? Does this group just rubber stamp everything that's recommended? Detailed information about agenda items is well hidden within the docs section of your website, often is minimal and only gets posted early enough to meet minimal notice to the public. For example, the ESSER funding item for last meeting shows only a financial spreadsheet. I'm sure there's a lot more to the ESSER funding information sent from the federal government and what is required in an application for these funds. Where is that primary information? Why are there no links to that information? This should be easily and readily available to the public in a timely manner. I'm sure information is sent to board members, but information needed to truly assess and understand some of the items also needs to be available to the public. Why is it so difficult to get information? Is there discussion by email of which the public is unaware? If so, I'm asking to be on that email list and email exchanges. Unless something secret and harmful, conspiratorial, is happening, I do not understand why citizens of this county should not be given full access to all discussion on all items that are voted on publicly. Do we need a FOIA on every item? What is being hidden? I suggest this board expend more time consulting with, informing, and including citizens in relevant board decisions. More and more of us are asking for information and inclusion in decisions that dramatically impact us. In this technological age, information that is being transmitted to school board members or within the school system can easily be made available to the public. If this is not done, then there is a lot of reasons for suspicion as to why not. Sounds almost like a conspiracy to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Our final speaker this evening is Mr. Mike Dougherty on COVID mask recommendations. Welcome, Mr. Dougherty.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Mike Dougherty.
I apologize, sir.
It's okay. That's all right. I just wanted to introduce myself and say I'm an emergency physician here in the community. Actually, I do all my shifts right here in Margaret. But I'm also a parent of 3 kids in Berkeley County Schools, so a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. I think I got that right. So a rising 5th, 2nd, and kindergartner that will be at Philip Simmons Middle and Elementary Schools this year. And so my concern is, in all honesty, what I'm seeing in the community as a physician. And so what we're seeing is a rising number of cases of COVID. And we're seeing this, and it's vastly becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated. So the majority of the patients that I'm seeing in the emergency department are unvaccinated, and that we're admitting to the hospital. I checked tracking boards today, and I'm a physician in the Roper system. I don't speak for Roper, but I speak for myself. But physician in the Roper St. Francis system, and I checked the ER tracking boards this afternoon, and there were patients boarding in the ERs waiting for beds in the hospital. And so I saw my first cases of pediatric COVID, of COVID in pediatric patients this last weekend, or a week or so ago. So we know we're now seeing pediatric cases. Fortunately, the vast majority of them are going to do well, and we know that from the science. But what we also know is that, as other people have said, masks do work, and vaccines work. And now I was one of the people that jumped at the chance to get the vaccine. I lined up as soon as I could. My wife waited in line to try to get the vaccine as quick as we could because we know vaccines save lives and this vaccine works. But unfortunately, my kids can't do that. They're under 12. They're 10, 7, and 5. And so the best tool we have, yes, hand washing and social distancing and being careful. But the next best tool we have is masks. So my kids will be going to school, Lord willing, Monday morning with masks on. And that's my plan for our family. Now, I don't think that should be a political thing, and it's sad to me that it has become political. As a physician, I want to follow the science. I certainly have political biases, but if I'm going to be a good scientist, what I need to do is try to read the literature and try to look at my patients without those biases and look at facts. And so that's what I think I've done in this and what I'm seeing on the ground level. And so as an emergency physician, my expertise is in emergency medicine, but when I have questions about immunology or virology or infectious diseases or epidemiology, I ask my colleagues in that field. I don't go to my Facebook feed, but I call up my colleagues and say, hey, what do you think? What's going on? You're reading the literature more than I am. I've trained in this, and if I can refresh my memory and look back from medical school, okay, yep, that's right. And so I listen to my colleagues. And so I would plead with the public and with people to listen to physicians in the community. They're saying cases are getting worse. And so here, I don't want to belabor the point too much, but I'm just going to read what DHEC said. just the other day, the HEC recognizes mask use cannot be mandated per the South Carolina General Assembly, but is providing the following guidance for teachers, staff, and parents. The HEC strongly recommends mask use for all people when indoors in school settings, especially when physical distancing is not possible. And we know that in areas of high incidence of COVID, which Berkeley County is right now, that they're recommending that we wear masks. And so that's what I would ask us to do, is just to recommend and model and encourage mask use. I know there are political and legal ramifications, and so maybe you can't require them, but I would ask you to encourage them and to encourage our teachers to do that, encourage parents. And then finally, I would just say this. So in another life, I had the privilege of serving the Marines as a flight surgeon in Afghanistan and Iraq. And the Marines have a saying that says, no battle plan survives first contact with the enemy. And so what that means is when bullets start flying in a battle, you gotta change your tactics and you gotta change what you do.
Dr.
And so-
Doherty, you've
Oh, sorry.
extended a little bit over.
Okay, sorry.
There's some leeway in here, but
All right, sorry, I didn't see the time.
I appreciate it.
I would just end with, so the battle has changed, this virus has mutated. I think we have to change our tactics, and hopefully we can lose the mask and get back to life and get a vaccine. Thanks.
Thank you, Doctor. The next item on the agenda is any action as required for items from executive session. Mr. McQuillan.
Mr. Chair, I move to suspend policy IKADA entitled BCSD proficiency.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. McQuillan and a second from Ms. Littleton. Is there any discussion? We'll call the question. All in favor of suspending policy IKADA, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Ayes have it, voted 9-0.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Catherine Batkins as the new social studies coordinator with a starting date of August 11th, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner and a second from Mr. Ramsey to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Catherine Batkins as the new social studies coordinator with a starting date of August 11th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Ayes have it by a vote of 9-0 unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Batkins. Introduce your guest.
My husband Daniel and our daughter Merritt, and my parents and my sister Laurie.
Welcome. Y'all stand for the picture, please. It's a family affair.
Okay, ma'am. You'll take cheese.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Deanna Martin as the new assistant principal of Goose Creek Elementary with a starting date of August the 11th, 2021.
Second.
I have a motion from Dr. Wigfall, a second from Ms. Wofford, to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Deanna Martin as the new assistant principal of Goose Creek Elementary with a starting date of tomorrow. Is there any discussion? We'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it by a vote of 9-0. Welcome, Ms. Martin. Introduce your guest.
My husband Chris, and of course my principal Kathy.
All right. Time for a picture.
Y'all can be in it.
Let's all have those up.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Tamika Hoffler-Bynum as the new coordinator for targeted school support with a starting date of August 11, 2021.
Second.
Well, a motion from Ms. Littleton, a second from Ms. Tanner, to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Tamika Hoffler-Bynum as the new coordinator of targeted school support with the starting date of August 11, 2021. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Ayes have it by a vote of 9-0. Congratulations, Ms. Hoffler-Bynum. Do you have any guests?
Yes, I do.
All right, let's get a picture. Introduce them.
I have my cousin, Keisha, and my cousin Michelle, and then I have my daughter Taylor.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Dr. Anthony Williams as the new assistant principal of Berkeley High School with a starting date effective when he's released from his current contract.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Walker, a second from Mr. Ramsey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Unanimous vote 9-0. Welcome, Dr. Williams.
I'm here with my wife, Katrina Williams, school counselor at Campaign High School, and my new principal.
And
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Dr. Marion Baird as the new Executive Director of Academics and Innovation with a starting date of August 11th, 2021.
second.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Tanner, a second from Ms. Walker to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Dr. Marion Baird as the new Executive Director of Academics and Innovation with a starting date of August 11, 2021. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Unanimous consent, 9-0. Welcome, Dr. Baird.
This is my wife Stephanie and our son Mason. So, glad to be here.
Mr. Ramsey.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Sloan Chenners as the new science coordinator with a starting date of August 11th, 2021.
Second.
Have a motion from Mr. Ramsey, a second from Mr. McQuillan to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Sloan Chenners as the new science coordinator with the starting date of August 11, 2021. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it by a vote of 9-0. Congratulations, Ms. Chambers.
I have my husband, Chuck, my sister-in-law, Carrie, our children, Caroline, Hudson, and Emery.
Chair, I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to approve the formal complaint and report of unprofessional conduct for one teacher to be sent to the State Board of Education to ask appropriate action be taken against the employee for unprofessional conduct as discussed during the executive session.
Second.
Do we have a second, please? We have a motion from Ms. Walker, a second from Ms. Tanner. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries by a vote of 9-0. That concludes any action that's required for items from the executive session. There is no need for temporary committee assignments. Mr. Jackson, Superintendent report. Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, board members, members of the audience, cabinet, those of you at home. We are just 6 short days away from the start of the 21-22 school year. We don't have to go back. And also my first year serving as superintendent. I was asked today during a media session, what am I most excited about for this year? Well, my answer was simple. Welcoming back our students is the thing I'm most excited about. As a district, we exist to support, guide, and empower our students. I'm very thankful that we are privileged to do this work. Our staff has been preparing since June to see our students again in a traditional setting. And I'm proud of the work that we've been able to do in order to get here, and I'm encouraged by the support that we've received from the community. I know that our families are experiencing a variety of emotions as they prepare to send their children back to school, and I've received many questions regarding our health and safety protocols. So I'd like to take this opportunity to address an item of concern for many parents and employees. While state law prohibits school districts from mandating masks, parents can still choose for their students to wear one. Additionally, we will promote good hygiene, good hand hygiene, adhere to social distancing as practical, and thoroughly clean our campuses. We have personal protective equipment available, and we continue to modify and adjust our plans within the parameters of the law in order to provide a safe environment for our students and our staff. A copy of our current safe return to school plan can be found on the district's website. This past year was challenging for us and many of our families. Preparing for a return to school while contending with ever-changing guidelines and expectations has also been challenging. But last night, I had the honor of providing remarks at our summer graduation. The ceremony truly re-energized me, as those students represent a culmination of the years of hard work and dedication and investment to help our students achieve their goals. So I want to encourage each staff member to take a moment, just take a few moments, and reflect and remind yourselves of our why. Take a moment, just remind yourselves of our why. One of the highlights of last week was our new teacher orientation. I shared the fact that I'm very thankful that they chose Berkeley County School District, as we are all aware that districts across the nation are facing a teacher shortage. Our Human Resources Department is continuing to work diligently to onboard new teachers every day, and have drastically reduced our true teacher vacancy to 33. So thank you to our educators that have chosen to join Berkeley County School District, and thank you to those that choose to remain with Berkeley County School District. I also had the opportunity to spend some time with Teacher Forum on last Thursday morning, and I'm very impressed by the leadership that those teachers possess, and also the phenomenal leadership of Judy Rainey and Brittany Garrett. I shared my personal story with them regarding my journey as a student and now superintendent, and also my vision for the district. In my opinion, Berkeley County School District has the strongest and most impactful teacher forum in the state, and I'm looking forward to all that they will do and accomplish this year. Additionally, I got an opportunity to spend some time with our school resource officers and bus drivers last week. Our SROs participated in their annual training all week, and I enjoyed kicking off that event. As safety and security is our #1 priority, this training is invaluable to ensure that they are prepared each year to best serve and protect our students and our campuses. I also spent time with our bus drivers. Bus drivers are some of the most unsung heroes in the district. Each day, they ensure that we safely transport more than 20,000 students to and from school. They've operated with at less than full capacity, but we're working diligently to recruit and hire more bus drivers. Our goal is to hire 40 more drivers in order to be considered fully staffed. And so we're offering guaranteed hours, competitive pay, incentives and benefits for anyone who's watching tonight that wants to put it out there. Anyone that's watching tonight may be interested in applying, please visit our website and learn more about these opportunities. Mr. Chair and board members, as you can see, or if you hear, this is just a short snapshot of last week's schedule. We've been very busy preparing for our students and their Monday return. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. As a board chair comment, just a couple of things. Board members, you have in your packets some information, a questionnaire that needs your attention this afternoon. If you would complete that questionnaire from the South Carolina School Boards Association and return it to Lacey at the end of the meeting. That would be to your benefit. Secondly, I'd like to reiterate what Mr. Jackson said. My wife and I attended, along with Ms. Marone and Mr. Ramsey, parts of last week's teacher forum, in which I'm not going to steal their thunder. I'm just going to tell you we've got some of the best leadership I've ever seen out of our teacher forum, and they are remaking, reestablishing, rebranding, if you will, the teacher forum. And I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to ask them at this time, Ms. Rainey, Ms. Gary, if you would, inform us about the direction of this teacher forum, and thank you for all you do. Let's give these ladies a round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Barrow, and members of the board. We're so excited to be here tonight and to give you just a little short update of our summer retreat on Thursday. First of all, we wanted to thank you for coming out and joining us on Thursday, and the cabinet as well. We thoroughly enjoyed having all of you there, and it really made a difference for teachers, so thank you for doing that. We just wanted to also thank Mr. Jackson for sharing his story with us that day. We not only were able to hear a little bit more about you as our superintendent, but also you as a little boy and as a young man, and you really touched our hearts, so thank you for sharing that story with us. We just wanted to, first of all, let you know that BCSD Teacher Forum this year is creating a future we dare to imagine. We have two essential questions this year that will be guiding our work throughout the year. The first one, how will we communicate, collaborate, and use critical thinking to reshape Teacher Forum in an organization that positively impacts the current needs of BCSD? So, as I've been thinking about this for the past year, what we would do in Teacher Forum this year, we've been thinking about, we've had such a strong Teacher Forum for many, many years, and I've been very proud of it. As I've been going throughout going to the state forum meetings and meeting with district teachers of the year throughout the state, I've realized that our forum is one of the strongest in the state, as Mr. Barrow has mentioned. And I'm so proud of that. I've been getting so many great ideas from them and being able to bring them back. I'm super excited. But there's one quote that I love, and George Couros has said that the world is changing, and if we don't change with it, the world will tell us it doesn't need us anymore. I've never been a risk taker in my personal life, but in the classroom, I'm always a risk taker. And so this is the year that I think that we are charting a new path, And I'm excited about it. We have lots of many things that are going to be happening this year. And so we are now looking at our current needs and going forward with those.
Our second question was, how will we unite our stakeholders? I love that word. And ignite passions that will positively make a difference in BCSD and create a future we dare to imagine. For us, I think the most important thing is to define what stakeholders are. And a couple of months ago when we were standing up here, I gave the story about how we have to expand our tenants. And to me, the stakeholders, it's every person that not just stands aside and is a spectator with the stake in hand, but it's the one who drives it deep, and they're willing to do the work. And that's our students, first and foremost. It's our parents, it's our teachers, it's our cafeteria workers, it's our staff, admin, board, district personnel, it's all of us uniting together, and I love that word. To expand our tenants at BCSD means to expand our thinking together and to grow together on the same page, and I love that we're in that direction. I love that we get to unlearn all those limitations that we placed on ourselves, and we get to shatter those ceilings. Our work and life skills, this is what Teacher Forum, this is our foundation. But if I really wanted to give you the words, or what these words mean to me, I would say that it's a way that not only Teacher Forum, but how we're gonna treat each other. It's how we're gonna challenge each other. It's how we value one another, and the cohesion between us. And I love that. When we look at adaptability, critical thinking, initiative, communication, advocacy, resilience, collaboration, those are not words for people who are not united. Those are words for those that are not only united, but encourage one another to ignite those passions to start a fire elsewhere. We're going to be using the engineering design process. This is an amazing model. I love to do this in my classroom, in my lesson plans with my kids. We kind of narrow it down to 3 for kindergartners. Explore, create, and challenge. There are so many possibilities of what this school district can do and be and mean for our students. And we get to explore all those possibilities together. Not only do we get to explore the possibilities, we get to serve together, and that's what we're here for. We're here to serve our students in every way possible. We each have a story, we each have a passion, and Teacher Forum's complete purpose, I believe, this year is to just instill that in each and every one of our teachers, that their story is important, their passions are important. To you guys, I've met with some of you. You've taken your time to meet with me and tell me your why. And some of those whys on the cabinet and the board are the most powerful whys I've heard in my life. And I want to share your stories so bad, but it's not going to be as meaningful because it has to come from you. And so I love that we get to ignite that in one another and just watch how this grows. And this will be the true test of what Teacher Forum does over time. It's going to be the tangible. It's going to be how we evaluate everything that we've done this year.
And so as we started charting this new path for Forum, I wanted to make it into a get to instead of a have to. And I wanted to capture the passion that I see in my students every day, the excitement in their eyes, the love in their heart, their giving hearts. And I wanted to take that and I wanted to bring it to Forum. And so a friend of mine gave me this book, The Carpenter by John Gordon. And, you know, because I said, I know how to do it with my classroom. I know how to engage kids. I know how to empower kids. But because kids are my thing, but it's just a little bit more difficult with adults. And so she said, read this book and I know that you'll know what to do. So in the book, John Gordon talks about the difference between a carpenter and a craftsman. And a carpenter just builds things, but a craftsman creates a work of art. And so that really hit home to me, and I thought that's exactly what we want to do in Teacher Forum each year. We want to create a work of art. We want this to be a team effort with our board, with our district, with our schools. and with our students and our communities. Within this book, he also talks about 3 strategies that he uses to lead organizations. The first one is love. The second one is serve. And the third one is care. And with those 3 strategies, I never realized, those are the strategies that I use in my classroom all the time with my students. But I never realized that those were strategies to lead an organization. So with those 3 strategies in mind, Teacher Forum is going to take those strategies this year, and we are going to, it pushes us right into our new theme for the year of Unite and Ignite. So we're going to take those strategies and we're going to unite our communities, our schools, our district, our board, and we're going to ignite that passion for excitement for learning, but also an excitement for the passion for love, serving, and caring for everyone in BCSD. So through this, we have rebranded our committees. They are now passion project teams that are driven by shared core values and value statements. We created 10 of those shared values and shared value statements. Those are going to be our why throughout the year. Our passion projects will be the what. And so we've given you a copy of our shared core values in the folder this evening. And each of our teachers have chosen a passion team to jump on, to work with. And these are the teams that they've chosen, not because it was a have to, but because it was a get to, that it spoke to them, something that they were passionate about. And I'm hoping that throughout this year, you'll be seeing some of those passion projects. We want this to be a distributed leadership in Teacher Forum this year. So you won't always be hearing from me and Brittany. There will be other team members, our leadership members, and some of our forum members will be up here. So we want them to be telling you about all the wonderful things that they are doing. With that in mind, to unite and ignite, we have given every forum member a copy of the Innovator's Mindset so they can unleash their talent and lead in a culture of creativity. So we're very excited about this and hoping that this will spark that creativity and bring that innovation, not just in pockets in our district, but throughout our district.
Last but not least, this better describes me. Going Places is a children's book. We know that we have to be good stewards of our money, and we want to make sure that it's not just a few of us reaping those benefits, but that we all get to, not just our teachers, but our students. And so Going Places, along with Innovator's Mindset, has been given to each of our teachers to use in the classroom, how they so choose. This is a really cool book. If you don't have it, your kids will love it. But it really just speaks to me because everything's a journey, and we have to invite people on that journey, and then we also have to accept the invitation of others. And it's a book about 2 kids who get the same directions on what to build, but they use completely different ways to get there, which is quite the description of this right here. And it complements each other in such a way that it's a dynamic duo. And so what we know is that we all may get the same directions, but we're going to arrive at the same thing, the same goal, caring for our students, in very different ways because we each have different passions. We'd like to say thank you, a genuine, sincere thank you for your continued support of Teacher Forum, but it's not just that. It's your support of our vision. It's your support of Teacher Forum's vision. It's your support of our students, your support of loving, serving, and caring for our community. But most importantly, taking that time to unite and ignite passions in Judy and myself so that we can do that in others. For taking time with us to answer what your why is, what your why is, but then turning around and taking that and sharing it with our teachers. You are so valued by us, and we love you, and we thank you for all that you do for us.
Thank you all very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One final thing on board chair remarks. We, too, Mr. Jackson, would like to welcome back our teachers. For those of you who do not know, our teachers returned to work today. And on Monday, as you do know, the students will be returning, and the South Carolina School Boards Association has asked us to get together as a little photo op, and we have a little poster we'd like to get a photo of all of the board members so we can put it on our website. Because we all, I know it's a photo op, but it's exciting. We're going to welcome our kids and our teachers back.
Well, before we do that, can we let others go that want to go celebrate,
We're going
Mr.
to do that
Chair?
as soon as they take this picture.
I know.
This concludes the board chair report, and so what we will do is we will adjourn this meeting for the committee meetings. If you would like to leave and go have supper or whatever you'd like to do, you're welcome to do that after we adjourn. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Mr. McQuillan and a second from Ms. Walker to adjourn the regular meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned.
I call the Committee on Academics and Innovation to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present and that the committee has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The only agenda item is the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for June 2021, Head Start Credit Report for June 2021, and prospective new hires. What is the pleasure of the committee?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for June 2021, Head Start Credit Card Report for June 2021, and prospective new hires.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Whitfield and a second by Mr. Ramsey. Do we have any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay. Motion passes. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the committee meeting so that the Finance and Capital Planning Committee meeting may begin.
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ramsey and a second by Dr. Whitfield. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, nay. Motion passes.
I'm calling the Committee on Finance and Capital Planning to order. I declare there's a quorum of committee members present. Note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The first agenda item is out-of-state travel. Ms. Ashley Smith, you are recognized.
Good evening, Chairman McQuillan, board members, and Superintendent Jackson. Administration is requesting approval of the out-of-state travel as presented on board docs.
I move to approve the out-of-state travel as presented. Do we have a second?
So, go ahead, Frank.
We got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. The next agenda item is RFP 488-1617, Design, Provide, and Install District-Wide Furniture. Ms. Smith, you are recognized again.
Thank you. Administration is requesting a 2-year extension for RFP 488-1617 for the design, provision, and installation of school furniture. This is to furnish the new Cane Bay Middle and Sangaree Middle additions, as well as the new Carnes Crossroad K-8 school.
Make a motion to accept the bid.
Second. We have a motion to approve the extension of RFP 488-1617 for the design, provision, and installation of furniture for the district awarded to New Idea School Supply Incorporated, School Specialty Incorporated, and Verco Incorporated for an additional 2-year term for a maximum contract term of 7 years. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Go ahead.
Are we currently doing business with all 3 vendors?
Yes, we are.
So it's an extension with all 3 vendors?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. The third agenda item is RFP 502-1617, Audit Services for Finance and Procurement. Ms. Smith, you are again recognized.
Administration is requesting an additional 2-year extension for audit services contract that was awarded to Elliott Davis on May 9th, 2017. Elliott Davis is currently working with Finance and Procurement on implementing several changes to GASB requirements, and we would like to continue this important compliance work with a firm already familiar with our policies and procedures. Additionally, Finance is in the midst of upgrading our ERP system, Munis, to the newest version, and we are upgrading our timekeeping program, Kronos. Elliott Davis has worked with us during the implementation of these 2 programs and is familiar with the issues that we have had. Therefore, their ability to work through these changes with us will provide a better foundation and a more thorough audit process. Additionally, the district will require an audit of the new self-insured workers' compensation program that was started last year. Elliott Davis is familiar with our new self-insured workers' comp program and has audited other districts and with self-insured programs and is familiar with the reporting requirements. Although we do understand and support the best practice of rotating audit firms, we feel a 7-year rotation rather than a 5-year rotation provides the district a better audit program, since there is a learning curve for the first year or 2 as the firm familiarizes itself with the district's policies, procedures, and financial system. Elliott Davis will perform these 2 additional years of service for $213,600.
Mr. Chair, I move that we support the recommendation from the administration.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve the extension of RFP 502-1617 to Elliott Davis LLC, PLLC, to perform the district's financial and procurement audits for 2 additional years for a maximum contract term of 7 years for an additional cost of $213,600. Do we have any discussion?
Is there a termination clause in this agreement?
I believe that there is a termination clause for both sides.
Have we priced out what it would cost to have another firm the size of Elliott Davis to do 2 additional years of work? I know we're at $213,000 with them. Are we getting a better deal by staying with them, in other words?
We haven't looked in the last year, but we can certainly price that out if we want to obtain prices, request to obtain prices.
Because part of the, I guess part of y'all's reasoning for this is they're familiar with the process,
Yes.
they've been involved, and I'm just wondering, because of that, because there's not as much legwork on the front end, whether we're getting a price break as compared to, as opposed to going with like a Webster Lodge or another big firm.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other?
I thought we changed the actual procedures to require it every 5 years. So did we actually change the procedures, and would we be suspending those procedures to extend this contract?
I'm not aware. I know the procurement states that the board approves it for 5 and you can have 2 additional years.
I understand the familiarity, but I don't want there to be familiarity. I want someone who's going to come in, and I would even pay more money for someone to come in and run us through the paces. Although Elliott Davis has done an excellent job, I'm sure they would continue to do an excellent job, but we've fallen in a trap before getting too familiar with the auditors, and I would encourage us not to fall in that trap again.
Mr. Chairman, could we table this for another time after some investigation and some bidding, perhaps? Or is
This
this
has to go
something
before the full board, right? Yeah, so this is just committee, so we can vote it out, we can vote it down in committee now, or we can vote it out of here and let the full board vote on it. I guess we'll just have to take a vote and see what everyone wants to do. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, nay. Nay. The motion passes 2-1.
Okay, let me stipulate, the reason I said that we can address this as a full board and have a vote later, because I do have some concerns as well.
The next agenda item is RFP 590 2021 HVAC repairs. Ms. Smith, you are recognized again.
Thank you. This bid was conducted to provide the facility's HVAC department with contractual resources to purchase repair parts for HVAC systems throughout the district. The district has historical purchasing experience with both responding suppliers and feels that each company is capable of reliably fulfilling our needs under the terms of the contract. This contract will be in place for a maximum of 5 years. We recommend approval of the award of this contract to Brookhill Company Incorporated and United Refrigeration for an estimated contract value, 1 year $75,000 and an estimated 5-year contract value of $375,000.
We have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda item 2D.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, vote of 3-0. The next, let's see, the 5th agenda item, 6th agenda item, well, we got one more action item, so okay, the next two are for information purposes, and the next agenda item is semi-annual procurement reports for January 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2021. Ms. Smith, you are recognized again.
The semi-annual reports have been included in board docs. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
All right, next agenda item is the ESSER 3 presentation. Ms. Smith, you're recognized again.
For the ESSER 3 presentation, I just want to provide some background on the funds prior to going over the proposed budget. On March the 11th, 2021, the American Rescue Plan Act was signed into law. Section 2001 of ARP requires the Department of Education to allocate awards to state educational agencies through the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, otherwise known as ESSER. The required allocations are based on the fiscal year 21, summer 2020 Title I allocations. The required allocations are, the South Carolina Department of Education was appropriated $2.1 billion in ESSER 3 funds. The South Carolina Department of Education is required to flow through at least 90% to LEAs as sub-grants. Berkeley County School District's total allocation is $72,530,945. 2/3, or $48.3, was initially allocated, and $24.2 will be subsequently allocated. It is important for me to also mention that the $72.5 is an allocation, and the district does not currently have these funds, nor the ability to spend them at this time. Once our spending plan is approved by the State Department of Education, the district will allocate the budgets accordingly, and we will be reimbursed once claims are submitted for expenditures related to our spending plan approved by the State Department of Education. As I stated before, our allocation is $72.5 million. Districts are not required to use any of these funds for equitable services. The ESSER 3 grant extends until September 30th, 2024, and there is no requirement under law for school boards to approve district plans. However, school boards should be knowledgeable of district plans to ensure the district has a process in place for adhering to the requirements of the law. This is not a catch.
I'm sorry, so this money is not like the first COVID funds that we had to share with private schools? That's what?
That's correct. We do not have to share.
Services mean. Okay, so $72 million
is all Berkeley County schools.
Is Berkeley County School District, not Berkeley County?
Yes, ma'am. That's a good question. This is not a catch-all budget. It's not free money, and there are 5 assurances that Mr. Jackson must sign. The district will only use the allowable activities under Section 2001E, and that will be on the next slide. The district will comply with the maintenance of equity provision. The district will not reserve less than 20% of the total allocation for learning loss. The district will, within 30 days of the notification of funds, make publicly available on the website a plan for safe return of person instruction and continuity of services plan, which we have already done. And the district will comply with all reporting requirements.
Ms. Smith, are there any additional requirements, as there was some concern about citizen comments?
Not that I'm aware of.
Such as specifying any particular curriculum design that should be taught in the buildings and in the school?
I have not seen
That
that or
has-
read that anywhere.
Has nothing related to the ESSER.
It has not been in any webinars or presentations that I've attended, and I have been to probably 5 or 6 different presentations regarding ESSER.
So there's very few strings attached other than what the superintendent has to verify after it's approved by the state.
Not that I know of, no, sir. The 15 allowable uses of ESSER 3 funds are listed here, very similar to CARES and ESSER 2. These do have 3 additional. Any activity authorized under ESEA, coordinate emergency response, address needs of highly vulnerable populations, ensure preparedness and coordination, training related to infectious diseases, purchasing cleaning supplies to sanitize and clean schools, planning coordinating for continued education, technology, mental health support, summer learning, learning loss, facilities repairs and improvements, improving indoor air quality, developing strategies and implementing public health protocols, and any other activities necessary for maintaining services and instruction. For the learning loss plan, the district must spend at least 20%, approximately $14.5 million of the allocation to address learning loss. The learning loss plan should align to the district's academic recovery plan, and the learning loss plan must include funds allocated to address the academic impact of lost instructional time using evidence-based interventions that respond to the social, emotional, and academic needs of all students, and interventions implemented to address students' needs. Before I present the recommended budget for ESSER 3 on the next 2 slides, I want to provide the results of the public input survey that was shared with you on Board Docs. When I posted on Board Docs, we had 2,390 responses for the ESSER 3 survey. As of today, there are 2,450 responses. Of the 2,450 responses, 69.9% were parents and 16.6% were teachers. In the survey, participants were asked to choose the top 3 areas of priority as the district responds to COVID-19. The top 3 in priority order were programs to address learning loss to include additional staff to support learning loss, 2, students' social, emotional well-being, mental well-being, and 3, improvements to facilities to improve environmental health and safety, such as HVAC units to improve indoor air quality, roofing projects to improve indoor air quality, and painting projects. We also asked for feedback on the area of learning loss. The top 4 responses were academic remediation and recovery to include after-school programs, classified interventionists at each elementary and middle school, training for educators to address strengthening the core instructional model, and provide summer program opportunities to address learning loss K-11. Dr. Dixon and his team have created a learning loss plan, which is listed here on this slide. The items with 1 asterisk indicate that this is a continuation of ESSER 2, and 2 asterisks indicate that the program will be implemented in year 22-23. The learning loss plan includes academic remediation and recovery, Pearson 360 screener and progress monitoring system to support emotional health, elementary and middle school classified interventionist, high school MTSS intervention coaches, instructional software, MTSS resources for academic support and intervention, training for tiered interventions, MTSS data specialist, an early intervention coordinator. I do want to point out that that says a 245-day coordinator, but it is a 245-day. It says 225, it should be 245. A virtual school choice model, summer programming, third grade instructional assistants, so that'll be 1 assistant per 2 classes, and cognitive coaching training. The total is 15.8. As you'll see, that is over the 20% minimum requirement for learning loss.
Ms. Smith, before you leave that, can I ask you about the Pearson 360 screener? It says required for emotional screener for Act 213. Is that a name brand? Do we have any input on that? I may be asking the wrong person.
That may be a Dr. Dixon
asking Dr. Dixon if you can give us some information on what the Pearson 360 screener is.
Yes, so the Pearson 360 screener, it was, again, stated part of Act 213, and in that it's, the State Department provided a list of screeners that were approved, and last year Pearson 360 was the one selected. So there are various options that the State Department recommends.
Have we used the Pearson 360 screener before, or is this a new screener?
We've used it last year.
Okay, so what was used in the spring of last year is the Pearson 360 screener.
Correct.
Do we have any other choices?
So there are some other choices, and then there are some other options with the social emotional screener as it pertains to MTSS. So we are exploring those options with the State Department currently.
There's a SEL learning program, right? SEL?
Social emotional. Yes, sir.
Because there was some folks that had concern.
I would say my child was screened with the Pearson 360 screener. I would not want to use that screener from my personal opinion, but I'm an engineer. I don't know anything about social and emotional learning, or if that's the best screener or the feedback that it gives. So I don't know if we have any other options.
So what we have is the multi-tiered systems of support. That's the MTSS system, and so it looks at the whole child. And so we're not looking at only the academics, but we're looking at the social portion. And the State Department recommends some social emotional screening for students or districts who are seeking that. And so saying that we're exploring some different alternatives to that screener.
Part of the concern was, I believe the district was looking at addressing this, was giving notification in a different mechanism to parents. Because part of the pushback that we received about that was some parents were concerned with the lack of notification, because some parents didn't really feel it was something that they wanted their children to participate. So that would be my biggest feedback as far as with that, no matter whether if we have to go with this program or if we go to another program, that we try to give the parents head up before we do it.
Thank you.
Well, wasn't the other concern too that when parents asked for a copy of the screen, they couldn't give it to them for copyright reasons or something, so nobody knew what their kids were getting asked? And so you had the option to opt in or opt out, but you didn't know what you were opting in or opting out of, which was kind of an issue.
Yeah, so to just address that issue, I remember Mr. Jackson would interject, but with any like normative assessment, you don't release question items, and I think that was the company's and the test manufacturer's concern with that part, with releasing.
Yeah, that was part of the feedback. You never know, because you see so much information out there, but some folks had issue with some of the questions, but then I didn't know what the questions were, so that's
right. Like you wouldn't know what's on the SAT or ACT exam because it's normal testing, but I wouldn't let my kids.
So in addition to the notification, we also plan to take a more targeted approach as it relates to the screener and couple or pair the MTSS or SDSS process with the screener. And so once students have been identified by the SDSS team needing additional intervention, Then we will apply or administer the screener to determine the exact type of resources or assistance that the student needs or support that the student needs. So in my estimation, it won't look the same way that it was administered in the previous school year.
If the team needs it.
If the team needs it necessary.
Will someone talk about what MTSS means and what's already funded and what additional ESSER funds will do for MTSS? I think people don't, I think people want to know more information about that.
So again, MTSS, the multi-tiered system of support, is used interchangeably with what we call in Berkeley County SDSS, student-driven support systems. What we're focused on is what every student receives. So every student receives or should have access to a high quality instruction, which we call the core. And so everybody, all 37,000 students that walk through K through 12 or 4K through 12 Berkeley County School District, they receive the same type of instruction and just given at different schools, different teachers at different levels. However, then we offer screeners in reading, math, and the option of a social emotional if it pertains, based on Act 213. And you look at and you try to identify any challenges in reading or mathematics. We have to report the reading data for kindergarten and first grade. It's to identify dyslexia. At that time, that's where the law started with, and so we call it a universal screener. But it pinpoints certain problems, academic concerns that teachers and administrators would want to be aware of. Once you address those, you're able to start pinpointing, groups of students or students that need additional support. So if you start moving up the line, everybody gets core. If you need additional support, we're thinking about additional increase of time, decrease in the number of students in the group. You may have small groups that teachers are working with. And so what you see working with students, and what we have here are the additional third grade assistants to help lessen the number, the ratio. Or you have the 58 classified assistants. And you have for middle school as well, or the high school MTSS data specialists. Those are the folks that could look at, employees that will look at the student data and be able to make more decisions on, the progress or what else needs to be done at the school level or as a system with the district. If we see major gaps in math or, specific standards, we're able to, create strategies or provide professional development or more intensive support for our students. So it trickles up until you working with a student individually.
On the notes for the Pearson 360 social and emotional screener, it says it's required. We're required to offer it, but students aren't required to participate in it if their parents opt them out, or?
Yes, so this slide, I wrote it down as a note, it needs to be updated, but it's required that we have this offering as a screener. And so from that, we will, you will be able to select as a team if you have students that need additional support in that area. So that will then, possibly become a parent, conversation with the school.
If parents choose to opt out, and teachers find that kids are not either keeping up or there's some emotional needs, or for students who can look through these tests and not be identified as a child in need, can teachers then refer them to this program?
So, right, yeah, you don't select a student off of one, screener, one, data point. You have multiple options and multiple opportunities to see where the student is. And the school will be looking closely at the students, and yes, they will, refer students to the MTSS team or that student support team. And two, if a parent thinks that there's some additional, concerns, they could, go to the principal and then, express their concerns, and that team will be called to work with the parent and the student. So it'll be a collaborative process.
but this is an ongoing process at every school.
Any further discussion, questions? All right, Ms. Smith. Thank you, Dr. Dixon.
Thank you for indulging me. I appreciate it. I've had a lot of questions and I had personal questions. I appreciate it.
So for the administration recommendations for ESSER 3, as you've just seen from the previous slide, we have the 15.8 for learning loss. We also have talking points, communication software, and bilingual interpreters, virtual instruction expansion of BCVLP for high school students, 9 new school roofing projects, 29 schools for HVAC control replacements, painting at all schools, technology, the 108,000 of the 7.1 will be for hotspots, additional days for our media specialists, taking them to a 225-day employee, additional days for power school clerks, an administrative assistant to support the counseling services division, year 3 of the ESSER 3 technician position that was approved from ESSER 2, window and door replacements for Whitesville Elementary School to improve air quality, 15 special education resource teachers, extended COVID leave, 2 guidance and 2 assistant principal positions. And Mr. Jackson referred to the vacancies we have in teaching positions. So we're very excited about the teacher certification program. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. The teacher certification program is a partnership with BCSD and Carolina CAP in an effort to fill teacher vacancies this fall. Carolina CAP candidates engage in personalized learning experiences developed by expert University of South Carolina faculty. With this partnership, the district will have the ability to grow our own teachers who understand the community and students they already serve. Candidates will receive up to 3 years of individualized support from a trained Carolina CAP coach, and these trainings will be held locally. HR has already identified approximately 30 teacher assistants or other candidates that are eligible for this program through correspondence with our principals. The candidates that meet the minimal criteria can start in our classrooms as early as October 2021. The initial meeting with Dr. Whitley and Dr. Wright is this Thursday to meet with our potential candidates. The last item on the list is learning option for quarantine students. Although still in the initial phases of the plan, we anticipate that we will have students who may test positive or be identified as a close contact and will be expected to complete quarantine protocols. Administration has discussed how these students can still receive high-quality instruction. We do not anticipate having this plan ready for the first day of school. However, Dr. Dixon and his team are working to provide support and professional development to ensure that the teachers feel prepared when this plan is rolled out. In addition, Ms. Fulmer and Ms. Taylor have been working with principals this week to also receive feedback.
Are we considering a virtual option for that?
We're still in the development phases. We have a lot of questions to be answered, and we're reaching out to principals for input. Cabinet has discussed it a couple of times, but we don't have a plan rolled out just yet.
So I understand, you said in the beginning that this has to be approved by the State Department and that they will refund us. Do we have they will give us the money after they approve it? Where will the money be coming from for some of these projects prior to that?
It will come out of our general account, yes. And this is a requirement for all school districts.
Okay, and then when they reimburse us, we'll put it back.
Yes, it's on a claim basis.
And you said it wouldn't be for the first day of school, Ms. Smith, but what about those students that are dealing with COVID right now? What if they're undergoing, you know what I mean? What if we're already quarantined right now?
Yes, ma'am. And so until we can fully develop and finalize the plan which Ms. Smith referred to, we will revert back to the resources that we currently have. And so we've displayed the ability, and teachers displayed the ability to utilize the Google Classroom. And so for the immediate future, we'll utilize that. And so teachers have access to upload information or upload the assignments into Google classroom, students can access in their homes. We still have use of our technology, and so we can utilize that and treat it similar to other illnesses in students when students are out.
Okay, so not necessarily learning loss, that's what we all
Yes,
care
ma'am,
about.
we're absolutely trying to avoid that.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions before I move to the very last slide? So this is the ESSER timeline. Our 2 milestones for ESSER timeline that are still pending is posting the spending plan on the district website and having the plan submitted to SCDE by August 24th.
Further questions? Thank you, Ms. Smith. That's an information-only agenda item. The 7th agenda item is the 2021-2022 capital fund budget. Ms. Smith, you're recognized again.
Thank you. Our financial advisors at First Tryon have provided information regarding our 8% funding capacity, which is listed here. They reviewed our property tax revenue, collection rate, fee in lieu of taxes, and miscellaneous revenue to determine our debt capacity remaining at 70 mils. In June of 2021, the board approved a resolution to approve the sale and issuance of general obligation bonds not to exceed 72 million. Of the 72 million, 41.3 will be issued for our capital projects. This is a list of our preventative maintenance proposed budget district-wide, including asphalt maintenance, gym floor refinishing, carpet and tile replacement, painting, electrical, fire alarms, and other items that we frequently have needs during the school year. These funds are not currently designated to a specific location with the exception of the allocation to Stratford High for a new lighting system in the auditorium. This list of projects is location specific for flooring, electrical, grounds, carpentry, plumbing, and kitchen equipment. Under the heading electrical, there are 6 schools that will have LED upgrades. It's not very clear on this slide. Our other district needs include technology, supplemental furniture, vehicles maintenance, buses for transportation, mold remediation, year 2 of 5, OSHA software, bus cameras, cost of issuance, moving the pond at Westview Middle, Cane Bay Middle, and Sangaree Middle wing extension furniture and technology, Philip Simmons Elementary and Middle athletic field expansion, Sangaree Elementary crosswalk and roundabout project, Sedgefield Middle and Goose Creek High practice field expansion, and our contingency for emergency repairs at $700,000, and our contractual obligations with Numerics, Munis, and Kronos. This plan also includes community support, including year 3 for Hanahan Rec Center, as well as 5-year facility plan items, such as the high school prototype model, year 2 of 3 for Carnes Crossroads, which includes an owner contingency, and technology and furniture for the new school, and land for a future school site. This slide shows the overview of all projects by category and a $3.9 million set-aside allocation for a potential middle school for a total budget allocation of $41.3 million. Are there any questions?
Any questions, discussion? We have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the 2021-22 capital fund budget as presented.
We have a second. Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it by a vote of 3-0. And at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this committee so that the Human Resources Committee can...
Capital projects. You get capital projects update.
There's an update.
8th agenda item, capital projects update. Ms. Briggers, you're recognized. I'm sorry.
It was going to be really quick. Good evening, Chairman McClellan, Mr. Jackson, members of the board. Tonight I would like to invite Nathan Roberts, our Executive Director of New Construction and Capital Projects. He's going to present an update on new construction and capital projects. And Nathan's been with us since May and he's been doing an outstanding job, so I'm really excited to introduce him to us.
All right.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Triggers, for your support. Mr. McCullough, Chairman of the Board, Mr. Jackson, all board members. I'd like to take a minute to publicly thank the staff in Capitol, the staff in maintenance who worked tirelessly and seamlessly as a team to get things done this summer. We've had our share of challenges with the rain, supply chain issues, and it goes on and on, and we work through that every step of the way together as a team with maintenance and capital in our department. So if you're listening, guys, thank you. Cane Bay Middle School addition. This facility was opened in 2012 to service 897 students. As of this year, we're doing an addition of 23,000 square feet, 23,840 square feet as a new wing. Can you see this is the new wing going in here. And that'll increase the student population by about 400 students on that campus. The new wing, here's the status of that project and that addition. With the roofing going on, can you guys hear me okay?
You kind of speak into it a little more, Mr.
Okay. Roofing is being installed. If you see this little portion in the back of the building, that's the new extension and connection between the new building and the existing building. There's also a classroom that's been renovated inside the existing building as a part of this project. Windows are being installed. The HVAC system is in. The ductwork is being connected and installed. And that will be our next milestone, which we'll get confirmation on in our meetings this Friday as to when we'll actually start up HVAC units and be able to condition the building and get it finished out. Here's a shot from the new construction into that connector we just looked at. We talked about the 400 student addition with this portion of the building being added, which includes 10 classrooms, one of them being in the existing building, 9 in the new facility, and 4 science classrooms. The cost of this, I'm proud to say we've stayed inside the original contract, no change orders at this point, of $6,002,556. Any questions? Any questions on? Okay.
So the transition is going to happen over the Christmas holidays, basically, because I think it's an entry into the January 22.
Exactly.
Okay.
Both
projects.
Both projects, Sangaree and Cane Bay. The substantial completion date is October 29th, and then there is a time for move-in and turnover for open in January of 22.
Mr. Roberts, I know this question is not for you, so I'm going to defer and ask whoever's question it is to come answer it for me, but how many students do we have at Westview Middle from Cane Bay Middle that need to get to come back? Do we know that? Do we know it just an approximate? We don't really know an approximate. That's okay. I mean, I'm just saying, those have first dibs, right?
They're in timeline or...
So bringing our kids back is first before we actually bring new kids in there. That's all I'm asking. Okay. Okay, awesome. Okay.
On to the new Carnes Crossroads K-8 school. We have FWA Architects is our architect and design team. EdCon is our successful contractor. And this is a $47 million endeavor to build this new school in the Carnes Crossroads community. We're targeting completion date of the summer 2023. The new building will have or house 1,221 students from pre-K to the 8th grade.
Is that that's with alternate 1 included in that?
That is with alternate 1 included in that.
2-story.
That's the 2-story and the outdoor classroom space.
Okay. So that was basically upgraded from the original plan, with the alternate one being inclusive, and that's also within the projected budget.
Yes, sir. The $47 million includes the base bid of $43 million, and then another $3 million for...
Excellent, thank you.
Are there any areas, going back to your last, or maybe this slide will work too, are there any areas on the current site plan for expansion, just because the growth in that area is so large that where we could do what we're doing at King Bay in terms of adding new wings? Do we have room on that site or no?
This site is pretty full at this point. There is some expansion to do one of the other alternates that we talked about off of this wing, if you can see my cursor, to expand slightly back here with the one-story portion.
Okay, thank you.
How many classroom space would that be on that backside?
How many, can you say that again?
How many classroom space, or if you did an expansion, what would be the additional student?
You'd get an additional 6 classrooms on this end of the building.
That'd be about 160 students, perhaps.
Perhaps.
And how far off are we now when we start talking about the growth and the anticipation? Are we looking at about maybe 400 students in the next 5 years in that particular area, or we have to move it around? I mean, I know it's going to be more than that, but what? I guess we can't build it fast enough to be prepared for the amount of growth that we have.
Yes, sir. I think
But I'm just trying to, grab a number, because when we start adding on this wing, we see it's $6 million to do a 9-10 classroom expansion. And so, and it's $47 million to build a new K-8. So we have to start thinking about how do we build another school versus just continuing the expansion of the wings. Because I think to get ahead of it, we're gonna have to look at building the whole school. That's my thought process.
Would it be less expensive to just complete the addition now versus opening up the rest of the school and having to put an addition on later?
Well, I'm just saying, that what I was talking about is that we need to be thinking about another school versus just, expansion on this new school within the next 3 years. It's going to be 10 million when we do that addition, probably the next 3 years, because of the cost of construction and material costs and everything else. I'm just thinking about how that would work. And now if we can build a new school, it's going to be 50 million. If this one is now 47 million, which is a K-8, 1,200 students. If you do 1,200 students, I don't care if it's a middle, it's going to cost the same amount pretty much, for the number of students at that particular school. I mean, maybe you can help me out, Mr. Roberts. Am I making sense, or I don't know?
Just based on the information that I have now, it would make sense, and excuse me if I'm talking out of turn, it would make sense if we were designing the next school now, so that by the time the K-8 school comes online, we'd be in construction, and a year after that, the next school would come online.
Would it be less expensive if we did don't call it an addition, but made those classrooms now versus 3 years from now going back in and opening up the school to put them on?
That would be less expensive to do that now while construction is going on versus coming in and doing an addition later on. Yes?
Well, that would be a change order, because we would have to change the whole schematics of the architectural drawing.
Absolutely.
For this particular school, so
yes,
there's going to be costs involved regardless of what you do. But I'm just thinking about the next school, and are we planning now for that next school so that we won't be faced with all these additions to these wings, and you're still building a new school. You're looking at $30-40 million with all the new additions.
I know what you're saying. I'm just thinking we should do both.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Because this was designed initially to have that addition on there.
So I did want to note that the front of the school is facing south back towards the neighborhood, and that this is the road to the east of the site, and the hospital across the road from the campus to the east of that site. Just so you have an orientation when you drive by. When you're at the hospital, you'll be looking at the side of the building.
Is all that dotted stuff on this map, is that wetlands?
Yes.
Has there been any site preparation yet?
I was going to get to that. The contractor is on site now installing silt fence and prepping the site for construction to start. He's getting all of the drainage and erosion control measures in place now. Moving on to Devon Forest is one of the roof replacement projects we did this summer. This is phase 1. We've also done phase 2, excuse me, this is a photo of phase 1 roof replacement. Phase 2 is going on now. The total cost of these two projects is right at $1.7 million, and it's roughly $850,000 per phase. These are the completed, the items listed up top are the roof projects completed with the ESSER 2 funding. The items below the line are the projects that are yet to be started. They're in design now and being submitted to OSF for review to be completed as we get those designs returned. At the Philip Simmons Elementary Middle School in the Point Hope community, we met with the Point Hope developer over the last few months to put together a plan for shared use athletic fields on that campus. Looking at the front of the campus, which would be here, potentially having some athletic fields there for soccer, lacrosse, and those types of activities, and then several other fields over in the that large field to the left of the site. We met with the
Is that the city of Charleston's property or those?
That's all school district property. Yep. So all of that is actually on the campus. The Point Hope community is looking to partner with the school district to provide lighting, the fields, and an outdoor restroom to support their community activities as far as athletics are concerned. There'd be a shared cost in that. They'd split the cost 50-50. I think in Ms. Smith's report, in the budget report, there was a $250,000 allowance in there for that, which the Point Hope community would match that. We're working on the scope now, getting the designs and the pricing to make sure we stay within that budget, which will drive whatever the scope is. Our attorney is working closely with the Point Hope community or the developer to put that agreement together and have that roll out as soon as we can get the terms agreed to.
Part of my understanding with the agreement with this deal would be they would take the expenses of maintaining the fields. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, that's very significant. That's pretty similar to what we did over in Hanahan, where we had a shared thing, but then looking going forward, they maintain the fields for us. Okay.
That's correct. This is just a proposed layout of what some of that may look like. You might have U6 to U8, U11, U12, kind of overlapping so that they can come in and do whichever age group at different times. And all of that is being worked out in that agreement as to what time those fields would be used so it doesn't conflict with school operation. This is the Sangaree Middle School. This facility was opened in 2004 with 124,000 square feet. We're installing now this wing down here, which is another 22,000 square feet. This is also the same architect, same contractor as the King Bay Middle School. It's a $5,273,000 construction. 8 regular classrooms, 3 science classrooms, and all of those support classrooms and offices that go with that. There's restrooms in that addition and admin staff space also. Excuse me. Of course, in this project, we've had to overcome the same supply chain rain issues. This will be the connector that connects the existing building to the new building. That was extremely intricate and difficult to get done as this building has a different, it looks similar, but it has a totally different framing system from the new building. And getting that tied in was extremely difficult for the contractor. Windows are in, HVAC is going in. They are setting the HVAC unit here today when I was there. And this one is coming along. It's on the same track to complete, for substantial completion, October 29th of this year. There's a dated interior shot of one of the classrooms before the ceiling grid goes in, or has gone in now. And this wing will have 375 student capacity to the building, bringing that new capacity to 1,290 students. This next one in the Sangaree community is the Sangaree Elementary School. What we're doing there is a joint project with Berkeley County government to create a new roundabout at the intersection of Royal and Schoolhouse Road. As a part of that, Berkeley County School District contributed $200,000 to extend the parent drop-off loop. That would bring more cars off Royal Road into the campus and allow a more efficient drop-off and traffic passing at the same time. As of right now, this project is slated to finish December of this year. There have been some, from my last meeting with the Berkeley County, the contractor hasn't requested additional time. They haven't granted it yet, but they have requested additional time that may push beyond that December completion date. In the meantime, students will have a temporary sidewalk. My lines got moved a little bit, but that sidewalk will be out here that you see in yellow, would be the temporary sidewalk to come across Schoolhouse Road, traverse down Royal Road and into the campus. The contractor will have folks on site for traffic control. School will have staff on site doing traffic control also.
And we also have an SRO that does traffic duty in the morning and in the afternoon.
That's another shot of that where you can see the full extension of that loop that goes down the side of the school back up to the front.
So that sidewalk will be where that dirt is.
Right. It'll have barricades on both sides of it. It'll stop work when kids are approaching school and when kids are leaving school. At Fox Bank Elementary School, we've installed a series of portable classrooms and a fire lane that comes from the bus loop over to the portables and from the teacher parking lot over to the portables. That's been a challenging project just because of the rain and the amount of earthwork that we've had to do to get the fire lanes in. The portables have been in for a couple months now, and we're scheduled to have that final OSF inspection on Friday. The other portable site that we have is Nexton Elementary School. We work closely with the developer for Nexton, I think it's Brookfield, to have this whole site that was heavily populated with trees, have those trees removed. We've now got a building pad essentially built in this area to house 4 portable units, 3 classrooms and 1 restroom trailer, portable. And we're projecting to be able to finish this by the end of next month, by the end of September. But this one has been a real challenge with the rain also. On to our Berkeley High School track. We will have a jamboree as far as construction is concerned on Friday. The asphalt company, Sanders Brothers, bought in their equipment this afternoon. They are going to start paving first thing in the morning. And they'll pave tomorrow all day and all day Thursday to be ready for setup on Thursday afternoon and Friday morning. I thought I would get more cheers than that, but
I'll cheer for you Friday. I've been holding my breath. We're like stalking it so much they put up the trespassing signs.
so then our new problem child will be Goose Creek High School, and we've taken everybody and focused on Berkeley High to get ready for this weekend. Everybody will switch right back over to Goose Creek and have that one ready. The target completion date for that is 9/3. I think they had their first home game that week also, so we will be ready for that first home game.
I do really appreciate it. I know we're joking, but I do really appreciate it. I know there's been intense focus to get this done. And the rain has not been helpful, but I really appreciate the press.
We'll be ready. And that will conclude my presentation. I'll take any feedback on how to better prepare our slides and give you the information that you'd be looking for.
I thought you did excellent.
I thought you did excellent, too. Yes. Thank you.
I think we'll get quarterly updates, Ms. McQuillan, from Mr. Roberts.
Say what now?
Quarterly updates.
Okay. I like it. All right. I think that is all of the agenda items. I don't want to leave anybody off. This time I'll entertain a motion to adjourn so that the Human Resources Committee can begin. Mr. Wright? So moved. Chair.
Second.
You got a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
I am calling the Committee on Human Resources to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The first agenda item is Policy JCA Sexual Discrimination and Harassment Revision. Second reading. Dr. Karen Whitley, you are recognized.
We are asking, I'm sorry. Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent Jackson, and board members. We are asking for second reading approval to revise policy JCA, student sexual discrimination and harassment.
Wait, that's the second one. We're doing the first one. JCA is just sexual discrimination and harassment, not the student part. Just want to get it right, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Let me try this again.
You're welcome.
Yes, it's 8:30 and I'm kind of at 4:30 and started this morning.
I understand.
We're asking for second reading approval to revise policy JCA, sexual discrimination and harassment revision, second reading.
Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the second reading of policy JCA, sexual discrimination, harassment as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve policy JCA, sexual discrimination and harassment revision. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Did you vote?
Aye. Yes.
Opposed?
Aye. She said aye.
Okay. Motion carries with a vote of 3-0.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Second agenda item is policy JCA-R, student sexual discrimination and harassment, second reading. Dr. Whitley, again, you're recognized.
We're asking for second reading approval of policy JCA-R, student sexual discrimination and harassment. The administrative rule is mandated by Title IX of the Education Amendment Act of 1972.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve the second reading of policy JCAR, student sexual discrimination and harassment as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve policy JCAR, student sexual discrimination and harassment for the second reading. Is there any discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, vote of 3-0. Third agenda item, policy GBAA, Anti-harassment, second reading, Dr. Karen Whitley, you are recognized.
Thank you. We are asking for second reading approval to revise policy GBAA, anti-harassment. The policy was last revised in 2018. The title of the policy has been updated as this policy will only address sexual harassment of staff.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve policy GBAA, anti-harassment, second reading. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve policy GBAA, anti-harassment, second reading. Is there any discussion? I'll pose the question. All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Nay. The ayes have it with a vote of 3-0. Fourth agenda item is policy GBAAR, sexual harassment and retaliation, staff, second reading. Dr. Whitley, you can have the floor again.
Thank you. We are asking for second reading approval of policy GBAA-R, sexual harassment and retaliation. With the adoption of the new regulations in 2020, employees are now included in Title IX of the Education Amendments Act of 1972.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve policy GBAAR, sexual harassment and retaliation, staff, second reading. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve policy GBAAR, sexual harassment and retaliation, staff, second reading. All in favor, is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. The ayes have it with a vote of 3-0. Fifth agenda item is policy GBAC, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. Second reading, Dr. Karen Whitley, you're recognized.
We're asking for second reading approval of policy GBAC, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. U.S. Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights has directed that sexual harassment and discrimination policies should be separate and distinct from that of general harassment and discrimination.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve policy GBAC, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation for a second reading. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve policy GBAC, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation, second reading. Is there any discussion?
Our discrimination policy as a district, does it allow leeway for the administration in the event a principal, for example, makes racist comments about a teacher or an employee or a student? Like, is it zero tolerance? They terminate it right away? What are the options under this policy? I know that we're not amending that portion of it. We're separating them from the sexual harassment policy so that they're separate. But what guidance do we have there?
If there is a concern that comes to HR, then we go and we investigate, and then we get the information together, present it to our attorney and to our superintendent for a decision.
Okay, thank you.
Just like anything, that principal, anybody else has the right to appeal and have a day to voice their opinion as well. So they may not be guilty or not. The employee always has the same right.
Yes, sir, that's true. There is, once a decision is made, there is a grievance policy.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries by a vote of 3-0. Lost myself. Give me a minute. I'm on number 6, right? Sixth agenda item is policy GBACR, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. Second reading. Dr. Whitley, you're recognized.
We are asking for second reading approval of policy GBAC-R, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. Requirements set forth under Title IX are not as prescriptive as those under Title IX. Therefore, the procedures for this policy are similar but do not mirror policy GBAA-R.
GBAC-R. Just set that straight for the record. You're good. Yes, ma'am. What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve policy GBACR, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation, second reading.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve policy GBACR, discrimination, harassment, retaliation, second reading. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it with a vote of 3-0. Seventh agenda item is GBAC E1, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation complaint form, second reading. Dr. Karen Whitley, you're recognized.
We are asking for second reading approval of GBAC-E1, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation complaint form. This complaint form is presented for review to accompany the policy and administrative role.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve GBACE1, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation complaint form, second reading. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve GBAC E1, discrimination, harassment, and retaliation complaint form, second reading. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 3-0. Eighth and final agenda item, policy listen to me, policy JBCA, admission of resident student, first reading. Dr. Whitley, you're again recognized.
We are asking for first reading approval of policy GBCA, admission of resident student. The policy was last revised in 2012. The updated version seeks to address admission requirements as set forth in state and federal law.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve policy JBCA, admission of resident student, for first reading. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve policy JBCA, admission of resident student, for the first reading. Is there any discussion?
I just wanted to ask about, it strikes required birth certificates and goes to proof of age, birth certificate, passport, driver's license, hospital or physician certificate, showing date of birth, adoption records, verified school records. Is that a state law that changed or a federal law that changed?
Dr. Richardson.
So the Department of Justice says that you cannot require a birth certificate for obvious reasons that individuals may not have one. So what we're not doing is mandating a birth certificate. We're just saying, give us some example of your proof of age. Because you cannot deny enrollment because an individual does not have a birth certificate.
So it really isn't, it's just expanding.
Correct.
Beyond birth.
Correct.
Beyond a single document being listed, is expanding other things that would be accepted.
Exactly. So that if an individual does not have that one document that's listed, they're not sent back home.
It's actually helpful for parents because they have to sometimes write the Vital Statistics Bureau or go to the health department and get these when some other proof of documentation is available. It makes it easier.
I have one other question about the line item that is McKinney-Vento. That, I think, just used to say guardians homelessness as defined in public law, but now it talks about deployment or active duty. I had never seen that specific before. I'm assuming that's also an expansion.
That is in the state statute. McKinney-Vento is the federal law, so that PL that you just referenced was the
state statute.
The PL was the link to McKinney-Vento. The military is part of the state statute.
Okay, I don't know that I understand how it reads then. It just says parent, legal guardians, homelessness as defined by the McKinney-Vento Homelessness Act as a parent, legal guardian's military deployment or call to active duty more than 70 miles from his or her residence for a period of greater than 60 days. I just hadn't seen the military piece be paired together with the homelessness
Okay, that may be an error when I say.
In my mind, it was two separate things.
It is supposed to be two separate.
One that is homelessness and one is deployment, which could also essentially make the student homeless if the parent has deployed too far away.
You are right, that is supposed to be another bullet.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought-
so
I missed
that,
something 'cause I
right,
don't know.
so
I missed-
technically, if the wording is right, it's just supposed to be
It just
separate.
it
Yes.
bumps down to the next of
Right.
parent legal guardian, okay.
The act is supposed to be period, and then,
Down the next.
yes,
Perfect, okay.
we will fix that for second
I
reading.
think that's all the questions I had notes for. I forgot my DAC on iPad. It's hard to read on the phone. Thank you very much. I think that's all.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay? The ayes have it with a vote of 3-0. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. We're adjourned. Any discussion? Sorry, everyone, I'm ready to go home. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. The ayes have it with a vote of 3-0. Let's go home.